I hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, fam? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with that realness. I'm just going to do a quick recap on the fights because there was a lot of fights that went down this past weekend. The ones that were most important to me. No, I'm not going to be covering Jake Paul and Anderson Silva. I might do some TikTok videos about that, but I'm actually not going to be talking about that one. Let's go to the San Diego card, the one I was attending. Oh, I got my media credential right here. Bam. Thank you to Jane Maricia, I think that's her last name. She's a representative PR director out there with Golden Boy. She was nice enough to hook me up with a media pass. I got to spend the week going to the media workouts, hanging out with some of the fighters. Jesus Perez, who was the opponent for Alexis Rocha, was actually camped at my gym. He was cornered by my coach, Joe Vargas, and I'll get into that fight. I want to talk about the headline fight. The main one was William Zepeda versus JoJo Diaz. Now, if you go and check my video prediction for it, I thought JoJo Diaz was going to win that. I was looking at the resume and William Zepeda's last fight where he kind of had problems with that grizzled veteran Alvarado. And I thought JoJo Diaz's experience and his depth of resume and his skill set, being that he was a former U.S. Olympian with a deep amateur pedigree, would help him weather the storm that was William Zepeda. I was wrong. Oh boy, I was wrong. The fight did go the distance, and it was pretty much a one-sided drubbing. From the opening bell, William Zepeda was dropping nonstop volume on JoJo Diaz. You know, I really did think going into it that JoJo had the craftiness, the ring generalship, and the countering skills to at least level off some of William Zepeda's volume. Because one of the things that you'll notice about volume punchers, guys like Emmanuel Navarrete, for example, or who else is a very famous volume puncher? I guess maybe Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. in the past. When you get with certain volume punchers, if you've got a really good skill set, you definitely slow their offensive output. And JoJo Diaz showed that he didn't quite have the tools in the bag. I don't know if he was uninspired going into that fight. I'm not really sure. I talked to JoJo Diaz at the media workout the week of the fight. He seemed to be in good spirits, looked to be in, good health with the weight cut. Didn't look like he was super drained or in an energetic deficiency going into the fight. But every single round of that fight, I might have gave JoJo Diaz the 6th round. That was about it. JoJo Diaz did throw some solid counters, but there wasn't enough stank on JoJo's punches to really stop William Zepeda in his forward momentum. William Zepeda averaged 107 punches per round through a total of 1,536 punches, which is a CompuBox record, I believe, for lightweights. I don't know if it's for all time. He really out there putting up Chocolatito numbers, insane with the volume. Oh, Chocolatito's another volume puncher. Don't know why his name didn't just come to me right now. Anyways, in the third round, he achieved his height of heights. 151 punches came from William Zepeda in that third round. It was an entertaining fight, though, regardless. The crowd was definitely in it. There really wasn't a moment where there was a lull in activity, where people weren't paying attention. It was a fun fight to witness there ringside. So, yeah, the scorecards were very, very wide, justifiably so. 2 of them were 119-109. The third card was 118-110. Wide, clear, unanimous decision win for William Zepeda. He is there on the ring rankings list. Let me see if I can pull it up right now. I took a screenshot of it. As of this morning, he's ranked 7th. JoJo Diaz is ranked 6th. Frank Martin is ranked 8th. I believe, given about another week or two, they'll adjust the ratings and maybe put Zepeda above Diaz, because Diaz right now is 32-3-1. William Zepeda is 27-0-0. William Zepeda is hovering on the ring rankings list somewhere around Isaac Cruz and George Kambosos Jr. I guess you could throw Frank Martin in there. I don't think Frank Martin would be a good stylistic match for William Zepeda. I would not advise Frank Martin's handlers at this point in his development. I think Frank Martin still has a little bit of work to do, but maybe Frank Martin gets thrown in there. But either way, it was a great performance on behalf of William Zepeda. Just a quick recap. William Zepeda, El Camaròn, gets the clear, wide, unanimous decision win over JoJo Diaz. 2 cards were 119-109. A third card was 118-110. William Zepeda threw a record CompuBox 1,536 punches total, a record for lightweights, averaging 107 punches per round, maxed out at 151 punches in the third round. Boxing community, what did you think about William Zepeda's performance, and what's next for El Camarón? Let me know in the comments section, y'all. Let's chop this up. Don't forget to hit that like button. If y'all not hitting the like button, y'all better hit that like button. Stop trying to play with your boy. The undercard for that, or the co-main event, more explicitly, was Santa Ana's finest Alexis Rocha, the welterweight contender, up against tough Tijuana journeyman San Antonio Perez. Well, I don't know if you would call Perez a journeyman at the time coming in. He was 24-3 with 18 knockouts. He's now 24-4. Alexis Rocha is 21-1 with 13 knockouts. After this win, Alexis Rocha got the win. The judges' cards were 100-89, 100-90, 99-91. Clear, wide, unanimous decision for Alexis Rocha. The crowd was entertained the entirety of that fight. My boy Jesus Antonio Perez, like I said earlier, was camped at my gym. Definitely had a size disadvantage. He was the shorter man with less reach, but his inside game was on point. Sorry if I coughed directly into that. But Jesus Perez came to fight. He found a lot of success staying in close, in tight to Alexis Rocha's chest. Maybe that's a blueprint for future success against Alexis Rocha. Ultimately, Alexis Rocha just had too much technique for him and was winning most of the rounds. As you could tell by the judges' scorecards, most of them had it 9 rounds to 1, 8 rounds to 2. So no surprise there. Jesus Antonio Perez did lose the fight, but I wouldn't say he got thoroughly worked, and he did definitely gain the respect of the fans. He walked away from that fight with a loss, but everyone knows he is one tough bastard not to be taken lightly. Hopefully we see Jesus Perez in future fights. Alexis Rocha, in the end of it, called out Conor Benn and Keith Thurman. Either way, in the 147-pound division, Alexis Rocha has a lot of possible opportunities. He's 21-1, and the welterweight division right now is kind of in that weird handcuffed, or should I say, in a pause position, because we don't really know what's going on with Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Crawford has that fight coming up with David Avanesian. What's next for Errol Spence? It looks like the two likeliest candidates based on their rankings with the belting sanctioning bodies, Imantai Stanionis or possibly Boots Ennis, which I do not see Errol Spence Jr.'s handlers allowing Boots Ennis anywhere near him. But they do happen to both be under the Errol is under the PBC contract with Showtime. Boots Ennis has a contract with Showtime. So technically the broadcasting wouldn't be an issue, and it would be a relatively easy fight to make, but Boots Ennis I think is far too dangerous. Anyways, Alexis Rocha wins. Just a quick recap on that one. Alexis Rocha, Santa Ana's finest, gets the wide unanimous decision win over a very tough and very game Jesus Antonio Perez from Tijuana this last Saturday at that Golden Boy event in San Diego. The scorecards were 100-89, 100-90, 99-91. At the very end, Alexis Rocha calls out Conor Benn and Keith Thurman. Boxing community, what did you think about Alexis Rocha's performance this past weekend? And how do you think he does against potentially Conor Benn or Keith Thurman? Let me know in the comments section, y'all. We got to chop this up. Now let's head out from San Diego, my home city, to New York City. We're going to talk about what happened over there at the small room at Madison Square Garden. The return of Vasyl Lomachenko after almost 300 days out of action. He returned to the ring yesterday against top lightweight prospect Jamaine Ortiz. Jamaine Ortiz, who has been featured on my channel before in an interview that was part of the build-up to the Jamel Herring fight. Lomachenko got a very hard-fought unanimous decision win, and the scorecards were just wild. You know, I was at the event in San Diego, but the homie Boog was right next to me. He was working media there too. He had his laptop on, and so we were kind of watching a simulcast. I'm watching the fight right in front of me, JoJo Diaz and Zepeda on the screen. Out the corner of my eye, I'm kind of glancing back and forth, watching the fight with Vasyl Lomachenko and Jamaine Ortiz, and Jamaine Ortiz was holding his own. It seemed to me like Jamaine Ortiz was doing very well and kind of holding himself down respectfully and winning those early rounds. The first maybe 6 to 7 rounds, I would have probably favored Jamaine Ortiz in that. And it looked like, being that it was Jamaine Ortiz's first 12-round fight, the experience showed up in the late rounds. We know Lomachenko's style, y'all. He's a slow starter, But what he's doing is he's downloading information. He's assessing the opponent. It looked like Lomachenko finally figured out what was going on with Jamaine Ortiz. Jamaine Ortiz, I think, if anything, just got tired. I don't think he really was quite adequately prepared for his first 12-round fight to be against someone of the skill set of Vasyl Lomachenko. But you got to give the hats off to Jamaine Ortiz. Not everybody is going to step up in competition like that and go into their first 12-round fight against arguably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of this era. But as far as that best pound-for-pound fighters of this era tag goes, Vasyl Lomachenko definitely looked old. He definitely looked rusty, did not look as sharp or as precise as he normally looks in previous fights. He definitely looked a lot more precise and vicious in his fights with Nakatani and Kome. Maybe the 300 days off had something to do with it. That's a long period, relatively speaking, for inactivity. Maybe it's the stuff going on in Ukraine. Maybe that affected his mindset. Either way, at the end of the fight, in the post-fight, in the ring, Devin Haney came in there. You got to see Devin Haney standing right next to Vasily Lomachenko. Clearly, Devin Haney is a bigger man. He's the younger man. If this was a young, prime Lomachenko, I would still probably edge it out to Lomachenko in a future matchup with Devin the Dream Haney. At this point of the game, with the diminished Lomachenko that I saw in that fight against Jamaine Ortiz, I would probably lean towards Devin Haney, honestly, and Shakur Stevenson at this point in Lomachenko's career. Unfortunately, we never got to see primetime Lomachenko, which probably was a couple years ago. I think it would have been a much different affair had he fought Devin Haney back during the Triller saga with Teofimo Lopez. Spilled milk at this point. It looks like Devin Haney and Lomachenko is next. Boxing community. Just a quick recap. Vasily Lomachenko, high tech, scores a unanimous decision win over my guy, Jamaine Ortiz. It was a very tough fight. I felt Jamaine Ortiz had a great handle on the fight in the first half of the fight, but the veteranship and the craftiness of Lomachenko showed up late in the fight, especially the last 3 or 4 rounds. But we definitely saw a little bit of age deterioration in skills from Lomachenko. Boxing community, what did you think about Lomachenko's performance? And what do you think about Lomachenko going up against Devin Haney for undisputed next? Let me know in the comment section, y'all. Let's chop this one up too. Now, Robeisy Ramirez, Jose Matias Romero. That fight, I don't know if that was the co-main event, but it was the one that was right there just before Lomachenko and Jamaine Ortiz. Robeisy Ramirez, from the opening bell, dominated Jose Matias Romero. Robeisy's left hand was just finding a home. And was it his right or was his left? I think it was his left hand. I just kept seeing power shots coming from Robeisy Ramirez. Robeisy caught that first L in his professional debut and clearly has been focused on sitting down in his punches. Jose Matias Romero, going into that fight, only had 2 previous losses. They were by decision against the hard-hitting Isaac Cruz and Michel Rivera. So I was under the impression that at the very least Jose Matias Romero would last until the final bell. I was wrong in that calculation. He was out of there by the 9th. The referee called a stoppage to the fight. TKO victory in favor of Robeisy Ramirez. For those of you that saw that fight, what did you think about Robeisy Ramirez's performance against Jose Matias Romero? Shoot, what's next for Robeisy Ramirez? In the comments section, y'all, let me know about that one. Anyways, that's as much as I'm going to cover for the big fights this weekend. Of course, Jake Paul and Anderson Silva. Man, I'll probably cover that in a TikTok video. Anyways, boxing community, hit that like button if you haven't already done so. This is Hot Boxing Minute, the future of boxing analysis on YouTube and TikTok. Peace.